Hey, I'm Joe Mathis. Welcome to the Joe and Todd Show.
I'm Todd Wade.
The Todd of the Joe and Todd Show.
That's right. And this is Joe Mathis.
Yes.
I'm excited. Say that already?
I'm excited. Yeah, I did. Pay attention. I'm excited about today. It's going to be cool.
Me too. We have another special guest.
That you found.
Yeah, I did actually. That's kind of cool. No, her name's Meredith Commender. And we met her a while back, actually just a few months ago at the special event in Miami. And we're going to talk to her about her business and just kind of her background in special event planning, coordinating, designing, producing, all the things.
Yeah, last 14 years she has been the lead event coordinator and designer at significant events of Texas. So we're talking today via Zoom. Very good. So welcome, Meredith. We're glad you're here.
Guys, thank you. Thank you. Glad to be here.
This is fun. I think it's really cool to hear other event planners and hear their stories and why they do what they do. How in the world, what's your story? How did you get started? What was appealing about this crazy business?
Well, like many people in our industry, I did not start out with a goal to be an event coordinator growing up or anything like that. I used to be a high school English teacher, and that's what I did for the first 7 years of my working life after college. And I don't have a degree in this. I have a bachelor's in English and political science and a master's in educational administration. Thought I would always be a teacher or maybe be a principal someday. But I did know, honestly, I had done some event planning in college. I worked for my university in the admissions office and was part of freshman orientation production, which is a huge event planning undertaking, actually. Mm-hmm. And then I used to run an intramural sports program in college and ran tournaments and stuff like that. But I never thought about it really as a career. I knew that when I had children, that I wanted to be able to do something to work from home. And that was the main impetus for even departing from teaching. Mm-hmm. And so I didn't know what that was going to be, but I liked my event planning experiences in college. And then this is so cliche and honestly kind of embarrassing. When I planned my own wedding back in 2004, yes. I'm one of those people. I thought, maybe this is what I could do because I enjoyed the event planning process. I felt like it really played to my strengths. I'm very left, right brain balanced. So I liked that I got to be really organized and really creative. And I started to think, this is something I could do from home, part-time, on the side, never going to be a career with it, just something to do until my kids are old enough to go back in school and to go to school. And then I can go back to teaching.
Nice little hobby.
That was the plan. Just it was going to be a side thing. And then my husband at the time was a corporate recruiter. I stopped teaching May 2008. I had my first of my two children July 2008. And then it was September, October 2008 that the recession happened.
Yes. Yeah.
And all of a sudden, when my husband was corporate recruiter, everybody stopped hiring. Mm-hmm. And so his salary, he was on commission. It went down by 75%. And stayed that way for 2 years.
Wow.
So all of a sudden, this little side thing that I was doing, I had to hustle and try to make it happen faster and also more aggressively because we lost most of our income. Yeah. So I really started hustling with it. I had really thought I would do more corporate events, honestly, because that's what I had done kind of for the first year of doing this on the side. Mm-hmm. But all of that went away. You guys probably remember, and so I started doing weddings because weddings were still around and I was at a good price point at that time for all these budgets that had to be cut because of the recession. Yeah. And I just grew and grew. And then I never let it stop growing. So now I've had it for 14 years and it's very full-time, has been honestly since 2011. And now we do normally we do 50 to 60 events a year. Last year we did about half that much. And this year it feels like we're doing twice as that much.
We're playing catch up now, right?
It's just crazy. So, but normally we do about 50 to 60 events a year. I'm not ever going back to teaching, although I did like it, which is why I think I went into speaking. I loved being a teacher, but do a mix of corporate events, weddings, social, nonprofit. Weddings are the biggest chunk of my business, mostly because it's such a big industry here in Dallas. But I do more and more corporate all the time. And I would honestly like to have more of a balance with corporate and weddings.
Yeah.
Do you
It feels
primarily
like it's happening. It may happen this year. Like this year, it's been a lot of corporate. So yay.
Do you mostly stay in the Dallas area, or do you ever get to go regional or international?
Mostly in Dallas. I don't really market outside of the area, but I do end up doing events outside. We usually do some in different parts of Texas, a couple a year. Did one in Tulsa last year in the Tulsa area. And then, so usually there's like a couple of out of state things a year. And it's always because like it's an established client. Like we have an event in San Diego this year for a client we do always do an event for in Dallas. And they were like, can you do our San Diego event? Sure. It's so if it's out of state, it's always because it's like somebody I already have a relationship with. I'm not like actively seeking destination events. I don't mind doing them. I don't think they're like this amazingly fun thing that people love. I'm just like so much harder when I don't have my people. You know?
Right. Yeah. Isn't that true? Yeah.
That's true.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but I'm open to it. I mean, I'm open to being outside of Texas despite my company's name.
I love it. That's really cool. Do you find that sometimes your wedding clients kind of can fall over to the corporate clients or vice versa, that they can kind of be a marketing that supports one another?
Yes. I wouldn't say
this
a
question
ton,
is
but
for
it
me,
absolutely does.
By the way.
Yeah.
This question is for my benefit, by the way. Because he's always trying to convince me that we need to do a wedding for this person because
they're a corporate
they could be
client.
a really good client.
It's like we really need to do that. So yeah, tell us how wonderful that is for you.
It definitely is beneficial for sure. I wouldn't say it's like how I get most of my corporate business. I get most of my corporate business because I have good corporate SEO on my website, and that's how most of my corporate stuff comes from online Google searches.
Wow,
weddings.
I love it. Wow.
Yeah, that's
He's
important.
Right on that.
Wedding, and because to be honest, and I have a topic. One of my speaking topics is about adding corporate events to your portfolio, and it's really kind of geared at wedding planners. That presentation, and I'm part of what I talk about in it is you have to have corporate events on your site. Like if you want corporate business, it has to be there, and it can't just be like a little line at the bottom. We also do corporate, or like a little paragraph.
Yeah.
They want to see examples, like corporate clients. Are you kidding? In Dallas, where we have so many Fortune 500 companies and huge corporations. I mean, Tulsa does too. Even smaller big cities around the country. They're not okay. They're not. Someone's not going to be able to sell to their boss. They should hire this wedding planner, because I will tell you, corporate looks down on wedding planning, which they absolutely should not, because weddings are way harder most of the time.
Absolutely.
But they'll be right. They look down. It's like, oh, they're just a wedding planner. But if you do corporate, you need to show it. But at the same time, reflexively, if you just want weddings, or you really want just really luxury weddings, I think it can be a detriment to have corporate on your site, because then people feel like you can't possibly be good at all of it. So sometimes people have two different sites set up. Weddings for me are mostly referrals from past clients and, SEO as well. I would say more often than not, I have corporate clients who hire us for weddings than wedding clients who hire us for corporate. And I think mostly, to be honest, the reason for that mostly is because most of our wedding clients that do the recommendations, some of them are parents, but a lot of times it's the bride and groom who are, in the early stages of their careers and probably don't have any say in who upper management hires for anything, and would never even be consulted for that. But the other way around, you'll have a corporate client and they're like, oh, they did great with this. I'm going to hire them for my kid's wedding or something. So I think that's a lot of why it's not always reciprocated. But I absolutely have one of my best corporate clients of all time that we have done 20 plus corporate events with. I got because the contact at that company was the maid of honor in a wedding of mine.
Oh, wow.
So
that's cool.
It hasn't benefited a ton of times, but when it has, coincidentally, maybe, I don't know, it has resulted in multiple events for a company. So it's worth trying. I don't disagree with your advice there to do the event, because it could get corporate business, right? Let's do it. Who knows, right?
Yeah.
He's like, I don't want to do weddings.
I know. Well, my fear is always, like if one of our corporate clients or someone who may be thinking about hiring us corporately, then sees a wedding planner they really like, then why wouldn't they just hire them to do their corporate stuff? But that's just my paranoia. We're the opposite. The majority of our stuff is corporate. We try to do 3 to 5 weddings a year, mostly because I really like to keep up with the wedding industry, because I think we always learn stuff there.
I agree.
It's a great training thing for our staff, for our team. And I like the wedding industry.
And we've met some great vendors actually
Yes.
out of doing
That's
weddings.
where it can really benefit
thing.
you, I think, is that vendor relationship, because I do get a lot of referrals from vendors and from venues as well too.
Right,
and that could be a way in too for anyone listening. You know, if you had a great experience on the corporate side with a venue, you know, follow up with them and talk with them about like, how can you be on their preferred vendors list for all categories of events? I think it's harder for people to, even though those of us who are event professionals know a great event professional in any category could absolutely translate that to many different types of events. I've had wedding planners before in that, after giving that presentation about corporate events, be like, I just don't feel confident that I could do like a corporate holiday party. And I'm like, it's like a wedding reception, just, you know, without like, probably with less flowers. You know, really, I mean, other than that, it's
just
so
cut back on
similar.
the flower budget.
Yeah. And I think that I think I think clients especially have a harder time believing that like a great, like, for example, a great corporate AV company would also do a great job with wedding lighting, and not all of them do. Right. But the ones that can, it's like for some reason people believe it can go the other way. Like a great wedding professional could do corporate, but not the other way. And it's not true. It's just, you know, it's a perception, I guess. So
no, absolutely. I think you're right. The perception is always the best thing. So Cheryl is our our podcast producer, and she wrote this question that I wasn't sure about, but I really want to hear your answer to it. At what point in the planning process should a client engage an event coordinator? So either a wedding client or a corporate client or whatever. What point in their planning process do you think they should?
And this is for the benefit of all of our potential clients listening.
Well, I'm going to give you multiple answers on this. First of all, I mean, I think ideally every event planner, wedding planner, corporate event planner would tell you it is best to hire someone from the beginning, the very beginning, before you have done anything.
Yes.
Really, truly, that's
how often does that happen for you? Like, for weddings, it probably happens a lot, doesn't it?
Well, but what I was going to say next is, no, totally fine. We also, though, because that isn't always reality, we personally, my company, and many companies do, we have different packages. So we have like, for corporate, it's all kind of custom, but we have like a full service package where we kind of really start from the beginning and help them with every bit of everything. We have a partial planning package that's kind of a hybrid where we're like recommending the vendors, but they're sort of the ones managing them the whole time. And then we also offer day of coordination. And with day of coordination, I never do that for corporate, honestly. I don't even know if I would allow myself to do day of corporate unless it was like an established client that just needed some help when they didn't think that they would. Day of coordination tends to be for people who've already planned their whole wedding and want to hand it off to somebody. So for us, ideally, it's best to hire from the beginning. But realistically, I think as an event planner, you have to know that tons of times people, first of all, some people can't afford that. You know, many people with great budgets can't afford often a full service coordinator. So that's why something like partial is helpful. Many people feel like they can do it. And then they get halfway through the process and they pick their venue and they have their entertainment and they have photography. And then they're like, this is too much. And then they need to hand it over. And I don't think it, you know, as a business person, I don't want to say, no, forget it. I didn't get to help you pick the venue. I'm not interested. Although I know some people have that perspective. And then with day of, a lot of people don't like to do day of. And I understand why. For someone who has done day of coordination as a part of my business for 14 years, you are handed what you are handed. And it is sometimes a mess that we have to sort out, and we help make it better. I always feel we do. And sometimes it's great. Sometimes they've hired all great people and you're like, wow, you did a great job on your own, you know, doing all this. So if you hire someone from the beginning, though, the way that I feel about it is they can really help you not make a lot of mistakes. And it's not that, you know, as a client, for potential clients that could be listening, it's not that you don't know what you're doing. I mean, you don't know what you're doing because you're just ignorant of this. Like, I wouldn't know what to do. I feel like I'm a smart person. And if I was hired on to, you know, work at a engineering firm or a legal firm, I wouldn't know what to do. I'd make tons of mistakes in the beginning because I'm just not familiar with that field. So I feel like with hiring a planner from the beginning, they can stop you from making accidental mistakes that you get kind of not tricked into, but like here's a great example. I feel so often people don't understand at all what a food and beverage minimum really means. They're like, oh, this place only has a $10,000 food and beverage minimum. And you're like, yeah, but you're going to spend $30,000 here.
Plus. Yeah.
Plus, right? And they don't think about the service fee. Right. Because why? Because the people that are selling these venues to them are salespeople, and they're not going to be like, well, the minimum's 10,000, but you'll probably spend 3 times as much. Plus there's a 24% service fee plus tax. Boom, you're out the door. Right. Mm-hmm. So having somebody there from the beginning can make those costs, as an example, a reality, or keep them from hiring a bad vendor that maybe has really great Instagram presence and seems like they're great, but we know that they're not. So I feel like it can really help you not make mistakes. And also it can help you get recommendations to work with people that are trusted, insured, professional, and that your planner has spent likely years developing relationships with, which is beneficial for you because, those vendors want to keep that relationship. And so I feel like they step up even more. So from the beginning is the best, but I truly believe that really, even for a day of situation where you may hire someone a month or 2 before, it's still great if there's somebody that offers that service and can at least take all the work you did and manage it for you. So it's never too late, but too early is not a thing either.
No, I totally agree with your answer. I mean, we kind of take clients as we find them,
as they are,
obviously. But for a wise client that wants to get the best deals and best planning, obviously, the sooner the better.
Yeah, we have a client we're doing a site visit with tomorrow that, in some ways, I kind of wish they would have just already picked their site. It's kind of like it's gonna be a hard day because we're talking about a date that they have in their mind they want to use. Well, to me, the best venue is not available. So we're actually going to show them the best venue, and with saying, hey,
you could change your date.
It's not available, but change your date. So we'll see.
And I even have situations, to be honest, where we get hired by someone and they hire a vendor that we know is like not awesome. And I would absolutely speak up if it was like a really bad situation. Like I knew this is an unethical person or something like that. If it's just like, oh gosh, this person always has an attitude or they don't communicate or something, honestly, if they've already hired them, like I don't want to put that in their mind, right? I'm just going to be like, and we're going to just manage it the best that we can. So that happens too. You have to kind of learn sometimes if you're willing to come in later in the process, that there may be components of it that you really don't love and you just have to deal with. And I understand why there's planners that are like, forget it. If I can't be involved from the beginning, I don't want that hassle. I get it. It can be stressful. So I understand that perspective for sure.
I think that applies to not just event planners, but anyone in the industry, in the creative industry. The sooner you get someone involved, the better. And we've already gotten close to our time limit, but I want to ask a couple of really important questions. One I feel like is kind of a leading question for you because you already talked about it. But how do clients find you, and how do you find your clients?
So I personally don't spend a lot of money on marketing these days. I definitely spent more in the early years. I mean, now there's things I used to do to find clients that don't even exist anymore. Like there used to be a lot of like really good event directories when you would you would Google event planner or DJ and you'd get really great directories from like Event Active and Gathering Guide and Wedding Wire. And these were the people with the good SEO, right? That they would end up on the first page. So I used to definitely pay to be in those directories. And I did a little magazine advertising for a short amount of time. But what I have found that where it really benefited me was to put the effort and the time and it's not so much money in terms of like paying it out, but time is money. I truly believe in like making sure I had good SEO on my website, making sure I had good social media. I don't have the best social media. I definitely don't spend hours a day on social media, but I definitely have an active presence on social media and an updated presence. So making sure my website was updated and had good SEO, especially as it pertains to my images, and making sure my social media was current and manageable for me. And then spending time cultivating relationships with vendors to get those, to get those referrals. And so for me, I think most of my clients find me these days from either Google searches or, searches through social media that lead back to my website, or they find me as a recommendation from another vendor or another client. But that took years, really. Yeah. I feel like it took 4 years before I was really getting those referrals all the time. For me, I still feel like it's about 50-50, and my analytics would say the same. So I don't really feel like I have to go out looking for clients that much anymore. But that takes time and is a hard reality to accept for anyone that's new to any field. Gosh, not just event planning, but especially as a small business owner. I feel like, especially, I'm 42, I'll just tell you, and I do a lot of work with millennials, and I think also just with that generation and Gen Z and everything, there's more of this instant gratification that I could, speak a long time on, but I understand why it's that way, growing up in the digital age, as they always have. And I see sometimes young business owners come into these fields, and it's like, they're so frustrated that after a year, they're not like able to stop driving for Grubhub and, doing all this stuff on these side hustles. And I'm like, because it takes time. It's not going to be instantaneous, and you have to prove yourself. There are so many fields like ours where you're able, fortunately, to enter into them with very little bar for entry. We can just start even if you don't have the experience, especially as a small business owner. And it's like, we're lucky that happens. But because of that, a lot of us want to like test people out. Are they going to stick around? Are they going to be responsible? Are they going to do the right things and get their insurance and make sure they're being professional and, doing all the things they need to do? So it takes time. I don't really have to go look for clients anymore, but I will tell you, I do work very hard at maintaining communication, even with past clients. Like, even if it's just on social media and saying happy birthday to them and congratulating them when they have a kid, or if it's like a corporate client, congratulating them when they post a success. I just try to make sure I'm always I'm around, right? They see me and that they remember that I'm there, so that when it comes to another event, they think to recommend me. And anytime we get a referral from a client, a past client, we always thank them, send a little thank you gift, little like cookies and Starbucks cards and things. Like, thank you so much for referring us to this person. Little customer service things like that, they generate more clients, in my opinion. And then lastly, and this is what you heard me talk about a little bit at special event, as a planner and as any person in a field where you are managing a team of people, treating those subcontractors, event vendors, whatever they may be, really well, not throwing them under the bus ever, making sure you're on their side, making sure you're communicating with them, giving them food and water and all those little bitty things. It's huge and goes a long way. And I get tons of referrals from vendors just because they like working with us, because we treat them well. We treat them as equals. We give them post-event feedback. We send them pictures, all these things that cost me no money. It's just time, but it benefits itself and it pays itself back with business in a way that it makes me very happy, because it's because of taking good customer service and taking good care of my colleagues that I get more business. It feels very rewarding to be rewarded with more business in that way.
Oh, I love that.
That's great stuff.
We are really getting out of time here, but this has been amazing. I can see a part 2 coming. So helpful, and just really good tips for even the person just starting out, as well as I've learned a lot. This is seasoned people here. I've been around for a long, long time. I just want to say thank you. First of all, thank you for giving part of your life to education. I think that's huge, and I really honor educators and teachers, and to have that kind of passion is really cool. And then second of all, thanks for leading strong in our industry. It's been really fun. I know we're friends on Facebook, and I think I follow you on Instagram and all those things. And it's been really fun to just learn more about you. And I completely very, very much admire your professionalism and the way you're doing things. And so much of even what you said today is just like music to my ears, of like, thank you about the vendor relationships and that sort of thing. Just so important. I really, really appreciate that. So thank you as leading strong in our industry. And we've I probably shouldn't say it, but I'm going to say it anyway. I've said that, one of the things 2020 has done for a lot of people is it's really separated out the people who are going to continue on and doing things well, and the people who just probably didn't have quite what it needed to be an event professional. So thank you for that.
True. Thank you guys too, because you're doing this too. I so much work goes into this type of podcasting. I really admire it. I listen to podcasts every single day, and I know how much work goes into it. And you're educating too by giving of your time and bringing speakers on. And you did it was great meeting you guys. And like, I felt like we're so like-minded when we met a special event, because we're instantly like, I have a podcast. I enjoyed hearing you speak. I should speak on your podcast. You know what I mean? Like we instantly saw like, oh, this is a way that we could work together to make, better our industry. Like you instantly saw that. And so did I. And that's why I feel like, you get along quickly with people in that way. But no, thank you guys for doing this too. And also for leading, because I do think, I feel ever since I've joined this industry that, we're not always looked at as the professionals that we are.
Right.
And my gosh, the amount of hard work that this is, it's just completely, I was at the chiropractor this morning because I'm so sore from my wedding from this past weekend, and just having to adjust my body, let alone all the, emotional toil and the hard work that it takes. So I appreciate you guys doing that too, and educating everyone, and trying to, just connect with as many people as you can that can better all of us as professionals. So
before we close, tell everyone how they can get in touch with you on all your social media, website, and all that good stuff.
Sure. So my website is it's very long. It's Significant Events of Texas, all spelled out. significanteventsofTexas.com is my website, and I'm an open book. If you ever have questions, my email's there on that site. That's also my handle on Instagram, Significant Events of Texas. As well on LinkedIn, although I'll tell you, I'm not super active on LinkedIn. And on Facebook, just, it's all that. It's all Significant Events of Texas everywhere you look. Pinterest, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, everywhere.
I love it.
So yeah, I'm, if you, for anyone that ever has questions about this industry, surviving in this industry, best practices, I'm always there to help, and have a lot of experience that I love to share. I really do enjoy helping and educating. And honestly, I feel like it makes all of us better, because if I can even help colleagues of mine, correct problems in a constructively critical way, it makes all of us better to work together in the future.
Yeah, we absolutely agree with that. Well, we would love to get together with you if you're in town, have lunch sometime or breakfast. And
for sure, I probably will be, and not too long from now. So I'll let you guys know. Maybe we can grab lunch.
Come on up, or we can eat lunch at the office or whatever. And we'll do the same when we're in Dallas too. So
this
has been great. So again, those of you in the world of listening to podcasts, thanks for tuning in today, the Joe and Todd Show. This has been great. This has been Meredith Commender from Significant Events of Texas. And just want to make sure I got that right. I look down my notes.
You got it.
And this has been great. If you would love to follow us, we'd love for you to follow us on all the social media as well. And like our podcast, all that sort of stuff, review, all those things. Or you can write to us and ask us questions. I'm Joe at rumbledrum.com.
And I'm Todd at rumbledrum.com.
And we'd love to see you next week. Have a great week.
Take care.
Bye. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Thank you.